secrecy and not revealing the full data is it's giving the whole issue of climate change a bad name, and I think that's terribly dangerous, because I think climate change is a serious problem. The overwhelming majority of scientists in the world think it's a problem, and I think if we don't do anything about it, we'll pay a very, very heavy price in the long run.
And is it discredited by this?
No, it's not. I mean, just because of one incident, one mistake, I don't think you can discredit the whole of, or virtually the whole of international science. You know, we've just had the case today of the maverick MMR doctor who, you know, went against the grain. The overwhelming majority of scientists thought the MMR vaccine was safe. People listened to him, they listened to the maverick, he got support from some newspapers. It was a disaster in terms of children's health, children getting measles.
Okay.
Now, we must, I think it's difficult, but I think, you know, I go with the majority of the scientists. I'm not a scientist. Scientific advance has been fantastic for this country. Look at the medical advances and everything else. And in the end, I think, you know, rather than trusting some of the scaremongers, trust the scientists. They're professionals. They give us the advice.
Nigel Lawson, some people describe you as a scaremonger in the sense that you seem not to accept the theory of climate change. What do you think of what's gone on in the University of East Anglia, and how do you think it'll affect the debate?
Certainly the illegal act of trying to successfully define requests under the Freedom of Information Act is deplorable. There is nothing to be said for it, but it's a symptom of something far bigger. There is an inquiry into the whole shenanigans, apparent shenanigans at the climatic research unit of the University of East Anglia. All the emails have shown all sorts of other things. There is a suspicion that they were fiddling the temperature figures, the global temperature figures. We shall see. There's an inquiry into it. There is a considerable suspicion that they were pulling every lever they could to prevent dissenting scientists, and there are a great many dissenting scientists, from having their papers published. And there were a whole lot of other things. And these are people who are at the heart of the international process, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which again, it's been shown that it published a prediction that the Himalayan glaciers would all disappear by 2035, and it was it's discovered that the basis for that is little more than the man in the pub said so. It is. Do you believe that global warming exists, and B, that if it does, it's man-made? I'm glad to say. Will you want me to answer that?
Yes.
Right? I'm glad to say that the chief scientific advisor of the government, Professor Beddington, has just come out. It's very good to say that this is much less certain than people think. It is, obviously, there's a thing called the greenhouse effect. Obviously, there is some warming, but it is very uncertain. It's uncertain about the accuracy of these computer models. What I say is that the science is uncertain. It may well be there's a warming going on. There's not at the moment, of course. The figures even produced by the Climatic Research Unit, which are under investigation, show there's been no warming at all so far globally this century. And we had a very cold winter here, we know. But it may resume. I don't know. But what is absolutely clear is that the alarmism is unfounded. Even if there is some warming, there'll be great benefits as well as disadvantages. The net effect is not necessarily very harmful. And the policies that we're being told we must pursue, and I got ticked off by our wonderful chairman for starting on this earlier, the policies we are trying to pursue are immensely costly and will do far more damage to this country and to the world than any good they can possibly do. And this is why I have founded the Global Warming Policy Foundation, to bring sanity, balance, reason into a debate that badly needs it.
Sanity, balance and reason. Jenny Tong, do you hear it on your right?
Do you feel better now?
What, sitting next to you?
No, been bursting all evening to say that. We do not know to what degree global warming is going to affect us. I think most people agree it is going on. There is lots of evidence all over the world from climatologists and scientists that it is happening. Maybe we do not know quite what degree it is going to affect us. But there is one thing about it. I've got lots of grandchildren, and they will have children. So have you. They will have children. They will have grandchildren themselves one day. And whatever you say, whatever I say, whatever the scientists say, we should not be wasting our world's resources one iota.
Right.
We should be doing everything to conserve them.
Douglas Murray.
Absolutely. But just to get back to the question quickly, I mean, the issue of Freedom of Information Acts and this, I mean, it is, I have to say, I mean, I have never worked in government. I've only ever watched with awe, really.
You have to speed up a bit.
But Ben Bradshaw, for him to say that FOIs sort of sort this out, actually all that happens with FOIs is that departments get rid of emails that might be incriminating before anyone can put in an FOI, or don't say anything in an email and do it around the coffee machine. There are substantial questions around this area, and I think that it is right. I'm very glad, I have to say, that Lord Lawson has set up his think tank, because there are very good reasons to try to put some balance back into this debate. It has got extraordinarily hysterical from the climate change lobby, and anything which goes this hysterical this fast should, I think, raise some question marks and have some kind of at least return to normal debate. It's very interesting to my mind. The climate change lobby really don't like that.
Jane Moore?
I just want to say very quickly, I didn't say that the Edlington parents weren't to blame. They absolutely are. Climate change, I would say that on this, what I hope on this particular story, I believe that there is climate change. I don't necessarily believe it's man-made or that there's anything that we can do about it. But what I do hope with this latest story is that it is now open to make a very healthy debate, that dissenters are no longer squashed, that we can all talk about it openly. You can have your say, you can have your say over here, and the public can make an informed decision. And then, by the way, maybe we can rein in some of the green taxes, because it's now being used as another tax stick to beat us with when the evidence for it is not necessarily there yet.
Do you believe, Ben Bradshaw, that politicians have become hysterical about climate change? Because both parties are talking about green issues in that way, and climate and global.
No, I don't. And if you look at the recent survey of Conservative candidates, they put climate change at the bottom of their list of priorities, and David Cameron's having real trouble at the moment with his own party, because he used this as a way of detoxifying, of sort of making.
But what do you say to Douglas Murray's point? That
and actually many Conservatives share Nigel Lawson's view. But, I mean, even George Bush, in the end, accepted the science of climate change. So, well, you know, George Bush...
Stop flogging that.
You're here.
Well, here was a man with whom I agreed on almost nothing, and I certainly violently disagreed with him on climate change, but even at the end of his presidency, he accepted the science. Now, I mean... You know,
I don't just think at that point. I mean, what are you trying to say?
Trying to show he's good by attacking George Bush.
Are you saying he's very, very stupid and suddenly he was very clever, or I disagreed with him on everything and suddenly I agreed?
No, you were asking me if I thought politicians were getting hysterical. I think what politicians have been trying to do...
So George Bush...
Ben was trying to detoxify his brand.
I think so.
I'm saying that he was known as the arch climate change denier of his time. It was America that stopped the world doing more sooner on climate change, and even by the end of his presidency, he accepted what Nigel Lawson still doesn't accept.
I think our time's pretty well up. We're going to be in Coventry next week, and the week after that we're going to be in Belfast. And if you'd like to come to either Coventry or Belfast, the number to ring 08716269988, or you can go to our website and apply for tickets there. You can see this edition again if you want to, or if